What if one night, just one night, could remind you why music is never just sound? Because today, something extraordinary steps into theaters. And it isn't simply a concert film. It's a heartbeat. It's a promise kept. It's Jin, standing in front of the people who waited for him, believed in him, and never let go. Today, run쇼 Jin at Tour the movie officially opens. And this is not a story about stages or screens. This is a story about connection. This film captures Jin's first ever solo fan concert and first world tour run쇼 Jin Jinhee tour in Goyang, held last June, a moment that already felt unreal when it happened. Now that fleeting moment has been transformed into something permanent, released worldwide and screened exclusively in theaters, including immersive formats like 4DX, ScreenX, and Ultra 4DX. But here's what makes this film different. From the first second, it doesn't feel like you're watching from a seat. It feels like you're standing there, breathing the same air, hearing the same cheers, feeling the same anticipation as the lights slowly rise. When Jin sings, his voice doesn't just echo through the venue, it settles, stable, clear, powerful, gentle. A voice that doesn't chase attention, it earns trust. Every stage is carefully crafted not to impress, but to communicate. His live performance carries confidence without arrogance, emotion without exaggeration. Each song feels personal, as if he's singing not to a crowd, but to individuals, one heart at a time. And then the film does something unexpected. It steps backstage. Suddenly, the superstar fades and Kim Seok-jin appears. You see him waiting, you see him thinking, you see him nervous. The trailer, and the film itself, reveals moments rarely shown. Jin standing behind the dazzling lights, quietly preparing, feeling the weight of expectations, admitting fears he never shared before. Through honest interviews, he speaks not as an icon, but as a man who understands how precious this moment is. There are stories he couldn't tell before, thoughts he kept hidden, emotions that surface only when the music stops. You hear him talk about standing alone on stage, for the first time, without the safety of members beside him. You feel the pressure he carried. You sense how deeply he wanted to meet expectations, not of critics, not of charts, but of the people who came to see him. And that's where the heart of this film truly lives. Because run쇼 Jin tour was never just a tour. It was a declaration. With this tour, Jin rewrote history. He ranked high on Polestar's Global Concert Tour Top 20 and Billboard's Top Tour Monthly chart, marking one of the most successful solo tours ever achieved by an Asian artist. He became the highest-grossing Korean solo artist in Europe, a milestone that solidified his place on the global stage. Critics took notice immediately. Rolling Stone UK awarded the tour a perfect 5-star rating, praising Jin as a truly one-of-a-kind entertainer, unparalleled, irreplaceable, unforgettable. Major media outlets around the world echoed the same sentiment, confirming what fans already knew. This wasn't a side project. This was solo artist Jin. Yet the most powerful scenes aren't about records or applause. They're about eye contact, about smiles that linger, about moments where Jin pauses, listens, and lets the crowd's voices carry him. You feel how interactive this fan concert truly was, how every chant, every response, every shared laugh became part of the performance itself. It wasn't Jin performing for fans, it was Jin performing with them. And in immersive formats like 4DX and ScreenX, that closeness becomes overwhelming in the best way. The cheers surround you. The stage stretches beyond the screen. The distance between past and present disappears. By the time the final moments arrive, you realize something quietly profound. This film isn't asking you to admire Jin. It's asking you to remember how it felt to be understood, to feel seen, to feel reassured, to feel like waiting was worth it. When the lights fade and the screen goes dark, what stays with you isn't just a performance, it's a feeling, a warmth that lingers. A reminder that this journey was never about proving anything. It was about meeting again. And that's why run쇼 Jin tour the movie isn't just something you watch once. It's something you carry with you long after the music ends.